The special grade term is fraudulent, and I will prove it to you in this video. When we talk about the strongest characters in the series, we use the term special grade as the benchmark, and with Kenjaku's comments of, the ability to overthrow a nation is what qualifies a user for special grade. This has now become the gold standard of what it means to be a special grade sorcerer, but first let's look at the Jujutsu higher ups to gain another perspective. Gakuganji, when listening to Mei Mei and Todo, request to promote students to grade 1, highlighted that special grade is a misrepresentation, and grade 1 sorcerers are the ones to uphold Jujutsu high standard. I can infer from this that special grades are too powerful to control. I mean, that's very evident with people such as Yuki and Gojo who pretty much do what they want. In particular, but it fits to them being anomalies. However, there isn't a specific criteria amounted to it, and it seems very political based. So then we fall back to Kenjaku's world of being able to overthrow a nation. So let's assess our current 4 named special grades, being Geto, Gojo, Yuki, and Yuta. Geto and Gojo both have curse spirit manipulation. Shout out this man. But Geto with curse spirit manipulation fits that narrative of being able to create an army of curses. Yuki has a black hole that she can create, so well, if she was bored, she could destroy the world for her life. But it also begs the question, what made her special grade if the higher ups had no information on her ability, which can lead to a degree of fraudulence. It can probably be explained by being a previous star plasma vessel, but that highlights it's more of a political emphasis. And if I do remember correctly, I do believe Tengen was also stated to be special grade in the fanbook due to being a person of immortality and etc. And Gojo is, well, Gojo. Pretty self-explanatory, and it was already told us that Gojo could kill everybody in the world. Yuta, by technicality, is the only one who doesn't fit the overthrow nation category due to him only having his full power for 5 minutes. And unless you think Yuta is Barry Allen, I don't think he can overthrow a nation in 5 minutes, so this means Yuta fits more into the anomaly section, which I can infer from Gakuganji's words. So now let's discuss our soon to be promoted special grade, Principal Yaga, who could create an army of curse corps which would fit the criteria of overthrowing a nation. Finally, by this definition, somebody I would nominate is Mekamaru, because with puppet manipulation and large curse energy, he can overthrow a nation while he's chilling with Miwa on the beach. I mean, they was said that he can have the whole range of Japan, allowing him to control puppets across the whole country. So why did I bring up Yaga and Mekamaru? Well, if you take Kenjaku's definition of special grade, then Yaga and Mekamaru fit the criteria, and by definition, Yuta would not, because his criteria to overthrow a nation is significantly more difficult to relearn his reset counter for the ring. But no one with a brain would say Mekamaru or Yaga are stronger than Yuta, which inherently says the special grade term is fraudulent and not based purely on just strength. Now this is dependent on whether you want to combine the special grade term with Gakuganji's definition of being a misrepresentation, or from what I have inferred, an anomaly that allows for people as Yuta to then be counted as special grade. But this highlights to a bigger conversation that the current term of special grade is not based on strength. Gojo nicely stated that the ranking system does not make any sense, and the current crop of students will surpass the conventional terms of grade 1, special grade, and etc. That's also supported by Sukuna's statement of a ranking system not based by strength is pointless, and these are perspectives from 2 of the strongest characters in the series. This also correlates to the ranking system of special grade curses, in which curse object Sukuna is ranked in the same rank as the finger bearer, even with a huge, and I mean huge, disparity in strength. And that is why Sukuna made a mockery of such said finger. But back to anomaly section of the special grade title. There are others who could fit the criteria, which further supports my thesis of the special grade term is fraudulent. Maki and Toji. Now this, in my opinion, fits similar with Yuta in them being anomalies that would fit the rank of special grade. But now you'll probably say, Blaziken, you're being dumb. They aren't sorcerers. Well, Toji isn't, but Maki is. Maki is a sorcerer, and Toji could not be ranked due to him leaving the Jujutsu Society to become a sorcerer Kriller. However, Maki never left the traditional Jujutsu ranking system, and the only reason for a lack of update is the fast pace of the story and not actually going back to Jujutsu High to be potentially upgraded. We also know for a fact that she was restricted her initial upgrades because of the Zenin clan. Now with the Zenin clan not being gone, Even with her not having curse energy, we don't know how that is going to go if she does have the potential to be upgraded. And next is my guy Hikari. Now I'm not going over the quote, but even if we take it with a grain of salt, the fact Yuta can even put someone like Hikari close to his level, and I beg, please ignore feats, ignore Maki, just let me cook. It can showcase to us that the special grade title has to entail more than just overthrowing a country, or the title itself is flawed if it's meant to represent the strongest sorcerers. More than just that, some incarnated sorcerers such as Kashimo, Ryu and Uro could all be quote unquote special grade level, if you believe they are close to relativity to these potential special grades. Now this circles back nicely to why I included Yaga and Mechamaru. If your argument is rooted in overthrowing a nation and special grades are stronger, I'm pretty confident in all the nominees I have mentioned are stronger than both Yaga and Mechamaru, which inherently shows the special grade title has a problem. However, if you discredit them, I would still agree with you that all the special grade sorcerers, meaning Yuta, Yuki, Geto, and Gojo, I have mentioned are the strongest sorcerers in the series, which could showcase some validity to the special grade term. However, Yaga, in particular, makes the term lose all credibility and reinforces my idea that it's purely a political title. Like mentioned, Yaga was going to be promoted based on his curse technique being able to create an army of self-sustainable pandas, but this was only done on the basis of learning the inner workings of his curse technique, so no strength increase, which in my opinion shows it's more of a political term. Would you like another example? Well, let's use the case of Yuta and Geto. Yuta was deranked to grade 4 when Rika exercised to then be reinstated as a special grade, in which we assume, and I'm going to say again, we assume they realized Rika was still there, which could be more of an inclination its power based requirements. But it still aligns in my opinion to being a contradiction in upgrades. Finally, Geto. Geto had curse spirit manipulation, so the potential to create an army was always there, meaning by definition, he should have been a special grade. But as we learn, that's not the case, because after a year he became a special grade after ingesting even more curses. So what does this tell us? If Yaga was made special grade on the basis of potential, Geto should have been given the same treatment but was a grade 1. This inherently shows it's either politically motivated or there is an inconsistency in the ranking system. Moreover, if we continue to use Kenjaku's definition, Mechamaru fits the criteria indicating to us that special grade term is inherently not based on strength, as people such as Maki and Hikari should qualify even if you think they are weaker than the current 4 registered. Now I know some arguments people may use as, for example, Hikari was suspended and Maki hasn't come back like I mentioned, but this is also talks nicely to the whole world audience perception when we talk about special grades. So now, let's challenge some of the claims I've made. First, overthrowing a nation does not necessarily exclude Yuta, as there is no time limit, rather the requirement is that it can be done single-handedly. So in theory, Yuka should just take a week and eventually overthrow the nation. However, this then means incarnated sorcerers, especially Ryu, Kashimo, Uro, could be afforded the same sentiment, and people such as Maki and Hikari with unlimited time could also fulfill the requirements. I mean, if you see Maki running around dodging attacks swinging a sword through a nation, I'm pretty confident she won't be stopped. Likewise, a gambling guy hitting Michael Jackson poses midway with an OST blasting at full effect and is immortal? That does seem very hard to stop to me personally. And let me not talk about Ryu free falling through buildings shooting beams out his head, and Godspeed Kashimo zapping people. And with Uro, with a curse technique that is extremely difficult to touch, will be able to send missiles right back at you. Even Megumi could unleash Makuraga and will die, but Makuraga could just run the country gauntlet and will destroy everything. Alright, I'm done, but you can get my point that the quote does afford people more luxury to fulfill that condition. Second, Kenjaku is arguably the most intelligent character with the experience to support, which means his point of view of special grade is absolute. Well, yes and no. Yes, because Kenjaku has been very consistent with his ideas, which allows us as the audience to take his words as an objective truth. This means his idea of a special grade is a closer reflection to what it entails to be special grade, especially as the Jujutsu Society definition is not clear-cut and feels very politically motivated. However, it is still an opinion. It's not like what Kenjaku has not been wrong before, or more so lied before. He lied to Choso about ending the color game. has told Yuji he expects great things from him and then said his purpose is fulfilled. Went to America and ran the biggest scam of the century and has conveniently withheld information with his allies Urume and Sukuna, who Urume was trying to press him on more information in regard to the Kale game. Now this could be explained with the context of where he said these statements, and he has no reason to lie about special grade term, but I also have an agenda to push. But more than just that, I think the examples of sorcerers who would qualify by the metric of overthrowing a nation would end up causing contradictions in world and audience perspective of special grade is the strongest, as it would not be as exclusive as it's currently portrayed to be. Also, in the end of the day, this is his opinion. I'm not saying he's 100% wrong, but I do believe if your sole basis on special grade criteria is on Kenjaku's words, there are certain people who qualify, which would indicate it is not the pinnacle of Jujutsu that he has been portrayed to be. To wrap up, I believe Gojo has finally got something right, finally, in regards to the ranking system. It is not so important as it cannot contain the modern day sorcerers and even incarnated sorcerers who have appeared. Of course, when I mention incarnated sorcerers, they're not Jujutsu sorcerers, so they won't be ranked in verse. However, this is more of a comment for the audience. More so than that, Sukuna's words echo heavily, especially as the curse section is far too inclusive of curses who outright should not share the same category. This can be heavily shown with grade 1 sorcerers can't handle the disaster curses on their own, whereas Megami can defeat a finger bearer on his own, and both disaster curses and finger bearers are in the same rank of special grade. Like I've said before, I think Kenjaku's point of view is fine, and you can agree with that. But I think the Jujutsu High version of special grade is heavily politically motivated, and Gojo finally got something right in regards to the ranking of Jujutsu sorcerers. And this is why the special grade title is fraudulent.